So Jake Paul has just defeated Tyron Woodley by split decision. A decision that saw Jake reach 4-0 as a professional boxer and 5-0 in the ring. Despite the two men having a similar reach, Paul controlled the distance with a lot of reaching jabs to the body. As the fight went on, Jake was outpointing Woodley, who refused to let his hands go. In the fourth, Woodley rocked Jake after they broke from the clinch with his signature overhand right, but sat back and admired his handiwork, giving Jake the break he needed to recover. As the rounds went on, Woodley looked fresher, but Paul managed to continue to outwork Tyron and capitalized on his inactivity. Woodley didn't set up enough traps, something he continues to struggle with. Obviously, he has physically slowed down, but I personally believe that a lot of Tyron's problems are mental, similar to a Cody Garbrandt. Dan Hardy said it on Twitter well. Tyron just doesn't want it anymore, timid and unsure of himself. And although there is criticism to be leveled, hats off to both men. Love or hate the event, for the caliber of fighters, the fight was decent. And the argument that Paul is having a tougher run this early in his career compared to most boxers is true. Floyd's fourth opponent was Edgar Alaya, who was making his boxing debut. Tyson's fourth fight came against Ricardo Spain, who was 1-0. Canelo's fourth fight was against Pedro Lopez, who had drawn his only ever contest. On the same note, Paul was well and truly reimbursed for taking the added risk of a fight like Woodley. Let's talk about the judging. For a fight with several clear rounds, for only 3 rounds, the first, second and fourth to be agreed on is pretty shocking. Paul went all 8 rounds in his fight with Tyron Woodley. The first time he's gone longer than 4 minutes as a pro, while Woodley was making his boxing debut. As much as everyone wanted a knockout, I think the 8 rounds will do Jake Paul a lot of good. Getting to experience that adrenaline dump, being forced to dig deep and eating some big shots. For the first time in Paul's career, it sounds like he wants a little bit of time away from the sport. And I suspect he isn't where he thought he should be at. As much as the combat world wants this rematch, I have a feeling Paul doesn't want a second shot at Woodley, and I think he'll do what he can to get out of that fight. And agreement or not, I think Paul might find a way out. With Tommy Fury trying to start on Jake backstage, my guess would be that him and London-based YouTuber KSI are likely frontrunners if Jake backs out of a Woodley rematch. But after 3 intense years, I think Jake Paul might be gone for a short while. So what did you think of the fight? Robbery or a Paul win?